everyone, it's Lindsay from Hearth and Story, and I'm here with a quick flip through of our study guide for Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lin. So let's get into it. Here is what you're going to need for this study guide. Of course, you need a copy of the book, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. And you also need a second book. This is, I think, our only study guide that requires a second book. This is Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, 1969 Caldecott Award winner. It's an awesome book. We're going to be reading it. It's a children's book, obviously. It's an illustrated picture book. Not a very heavy lift, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And has a lot of themes that are very similar to Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. Especially these parents at home waiting for the return of their beloved child. So that's something we're going to see quite a lot in this book. So they're going to be reading this in one of the weeks, and I think they revisit it again at the very end as well. So that's one you can get from the library or just buy a copy. This is a good one to have on the shelf. And of course, you'll need this one. All right, so let's get into the guide. Of course, we have all of our standards that we're meeting at the front, a lot of the literature standards, but especially in fourth grade, we want to start doing some intertextual criticism where we're looking at the text at hand and then a few others. So we're going to be looking at Sylvester, we're going to be looking at a Greek myth, and we're going to be looking at a fable that all kind of relate to this. And that makes sense because this is really a book about storytelling. So we see a lot of themes that recur in many stories, and we're going to be comparing and contrasting and talking about those. This actually uses, if you're familiar with Hearth and Story 6th grade, the design of this study guide is actually the same as our study guide for Starry River of the Sky, which is the prequel to Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. So I worked really hard on that and I loved that design, so I wanted to make sure we got to reuse it again. So we're going through, sometimes we're combining chapters. The chapters in this book are very different lengths. Some are very short, some are longer. Sometimes we'll put 2 together, sometimes we'll put 3 together to get through it. We have a little science activity, kind of doing the same thing that Min Lee does to make a compass. Here, I forgot about that. We're talking about Jack and the Beanstalk as well. That's another story that we're talking about. So we're really making these connections throughout to compare what's going on here to some other stories and how they're like and how they're different. We have a variety of different exercises. Here's one where you're just showing us that you understood what happened in the plot. Here's one where you're making a Venn diagram comparing something that happens in this story to a popular fable, and how are they different, how are they alike. We also do have a recipe, so we're going to be making soup. In this one, it's very similar to the soup that Min Lee drinks when she visits the king. Here's where we're comparing to Sylvester, such a great story. Here's one of those situations where you do need to read 3 chapters in one day because they're so short. A lot of similes. Nobody writes a simile better than Grace Lin. And you see that especially in Starry River of the Sky, but you see it quite a bit in this book as well. So we're going to make sure we get through some of that figurative language and really understand how she crafts her similes. And we do have a little warning at the end that we use Starry River of the Sky in 6th grade. So a lot of people, after they're finished reading Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, maybe want to go jump and read that right away. But if you want to save it for 6th grade, that's just keep on your radar that we are doing this in 6th grade. There is a sequel to this, When the Seas Turn to Silver, and that is not used in Hearth and Story, so that one's fair game. You can go ahead and read that right away after finishing this one. And of course, we have our answer key at the very end, like always. So I think that's about it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and happy homeschooling!